Okay, drum roll. Alright, so g'day guys, how are you? And welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am actually going to show you something that I don't think has been done really on YouTube that often. And if it has been done, it has been done really of late. I'm going to show you how you can actually lock an account using C#. I'm going to do it in C# first, and then if the video goes well, perhaps I'll do it in VB, or if I get enough requests or whatnot, I'll do it in VB.net. But for now, I'm going to do it in C#. I much prefer C#. I do love VB.net, don't get me wrong, but I love C# just that tiny bit more. So I'm going to do it in C#. So what we're going to do is basically, if the user can see password wrong, a lot of people have just been doing, count to 3, and if they get it wrong 3 times, then a message box pops up and says, yes, no, you can't use this program, it's forbidden. But then you just turn the program back on, and then the counter sort of restarts back to 0, whatnot. So let's make it so we're connecting to an SQL database. I'm not going to do it on SQL Studio Management. I'm actually going to do it within Visual Studio. So I'm going to create the database within Visual Studio. Ideally, you'd want to be connecting to a different database, so that way when they do get the password wrong 3 times, then you've got to contact the system administrator. In this case, if we get it wrong 3 times, we're just going to have to manually change it ourselves. But hey, that's cool. Why not? So you could use this practice. You could definitely be connecting to an SQL database, wherever that may be in the world. And if they get it incorrect 3 times, then it locks the account, and they need to call up somebody and say, hey, my account's been locked, can you unlock it for me please, or reset my password or whatnot, and we can do that. So let's begin. So straight away, I'm just going to take that out of full screen mode. Or do I want in full screen? No, I'll leave it like that, because I'm going to have to use a few tools in the toolbar here. I do like with console applications you just code, and it's nice, but in this case we're going to have to connect to stuff. So once again, I don't know how long this video is going to go for, and who knows, I might even have to Google some stuff along the way. I don't know, but we're going to do it together, and that way we can sort of learn something together. So the first thing we are going to do in this case is straight away we're just going to create a database, and I'm going to do it within Visual Studio. So I've just gone up there to add new items. I'm going to go here to data, and I'm going to do it with an SQL one. So I'm just going to call it my database.mdf. So it's going to create the database. May take a little while depending on your computer, but I've got a solid state, so I would hope it wouldn't take that long. So now if I go to my data sources, nothing will probably be in there because I want to go to the server explorer. I'm going to do a little bit of refresh, and there's my database right there. It doesn't want me to, oh, there we go, it's now open. So just within here, we're going to add a table, add new table. So right click on tables folder and add new table. And this is kind of where you create your database. For those that haven't watched my previous videos, we've done this before in another tutorial, but this is the first video, by the way, that I'm doing well, not a long time, but this is one that I'm doing an actual cam one. So this is also a face reveal, so you know what Andrew looks like. So straight away, I'm just going to call it users table. That can be our users table, users table. Look at that, back up your files, yes. And straight away, we're going to go to the integer here. Now you can program it down here and type stuff in, but it's just, for me, it's much easier just to type in what I want and then just click a few buttons and we're done. So I not want this to increment by 1 when we add an item, so I'm going to highlight it and go over here to the identifier specification, and is identity true, and it's got to increment by 1. You probably would have maybe noticed, I don't know, depending on how I edit the zoom ins and zoom outs, the value here changed. That's kind of cool. So now what I can do is I can type in username, and let's type in here var character 50. Allow nulls, no. There's always going to be username. And as for password, once again, same thing. Allow nulls, no, because there's always going to have to be a password. Now we're going to go here and type in locked. And this is going to be a bit, and a bit is pretty much like a boolean, except we're using 0 and 1, which is a bit, and funnily enough, the 0 and the 1 are true and false, believe it or not. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So that's pretty much it. There's our database done, and we can see the script that SQL has generated for us. Very nice indeed. So now if I type in update, and if I just go update database, it's put it into my projects folder, the script, or the MDF. I think if I do update script, it may even generate something in here. It has indeed, so there's the file of where it's going, and it's even got the default path for my SQL server. That looks of it. Yeah, so if you don't have the MS SQL local DB installed, do install that, you will definitely need it. Okay, so now that we've got that done, if I come back to my server explorer, and if I refresh it now, I should have a table in there called users table. Beautiful, it's right there. So, I mean, we can now go sort of 2 ways with this and how we want to do it. I mean, we could manually running the query, or we could use the query designer, which is what I've done before in a previous video where it was how to log into an SQL database. Depends on which way you want to go. I'm just going to find out what works best for us, and then I'll explain more in depth, I guess, about which way we went with it. But nevertheless, follow along if you are playing at home, and we'll take it from there. So as you can see, we've got a table here. Now, if I wanted to get the data source into here, I need to add a data set, which is, I think we've done that in a previous video. So if I go here to projects and go to add new item and go to data set, I can just leave it as data set.exs or xsd, sorry, depending on what I want to name it, but I'm just going to leave it as data set. Really, don't even really to name it something else unless you really want to be pedantic about it. And so now I need to add a data set, the data set designer, you're going to drag your database or your table to it. So if I go to the server Explorer, drag my table to it, we now have it. We are in. Yes, beautiful. So I mean, at this point, we could probably add the query from in here, or we can write it manually. And I think I'm going to write it manually just for this in this case. So before I do that though, I am going to need a few tools or a few objects or controls to get us by. So I'm going to add a text box. Okay, so now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply double click on the click button. So that's what we're going to do. And now I'm just going to type the string, might zoom in a little bit so you that are playing at home can indeed see. We don't need a lot of stuff. I'm probably getting into a lot of the coding now, so I probably could do full screen. Anyways, username equals textbox1.text. String password equals textbox2.text. Textbox1. We don't have textbox1. And it wants me to fill that manually. Oh my god, cover sense, big fail. Anyways, okay, so like I said, we've got two ways we can do this. We could add a query by running in code, or we could do it in the query designer. I'm going to actually write the code so you can kind of get an understanding, and if you want to go back later and do it in the query designer, because it is slightly quicker to do it in the query designer. You don't get a lot of the options, but it is quicker, so to speak. You can definitely do that. So, I mean, I could always do the query designer first, I guess, but yeah, we're doing it this way. So let's just straight away, if string dot is empty or null, so we're just going to basically test to make sure that the username is not empty. Is not empty. No, I don't want to actually go that way. Perhaps I won't. Let me think. We want to connect to the database and then check for it, and then if it's the correct one, then we're going to go out of it. So we could write a quick query without using an SQL connection, which would be better using SQL con. Using that would definitely be better, but for this case we're connecting directly. We could still do using SQL connection. I mean, I could probably do that. Yeah, let's go that way. So straight away I'm going to go using system.darting.sql client. And I don't even know what my connection string is, so I'm going to go over to my databases, which what I created, and go to the properties, and the connection string will be there. It's probably also saved as well in the settings, but just in case it's not, or if it's unusable, I think it might be unusable while you're debugging. Until you start debugging, then it probably becomes, you know, workable. We're going to do it this way. So straight away, I'm going to create a public string. I'm going to call it connection string, and it's going to equal my connection string. So let me just quickly lay that out correctly. Boom, boom. And if you ever get a problem here where it's like, hey, there's these, you know, underlines here on these backslashes, you can either add another backslash and it'll get rid of it, or if you've got multiple, you can just have a little @ symbol here and it, you know, takes care of it for you there. So there's our data source. Now do keep in mind, if you were actually going to like implement this tutorial into an actual proper database, don't follow this method where I'm just using a database from the actual program. If you want to, you know, you could do it for a bit of fun and whatnot, and it will work. You know, this method will work. It's just for it to work sort of efficiently, you'd rather be connecting to an actual database. Okay, so right now I can say using SQL connection, SQL con, take away the bracket there, con equals new SQL connection, and I just need to put the connection string, just like that. Now, because I'm not really sure if this is going to connect straight away off the bat, I need to double check that the connection string will open. So we're just going to try and open the connection string, and I'll get a message box. So I'm just going to write nearly console then. SQL con dot connection state or status or something, I think it's called. Status. Is it results? State. Is this a boolean? Hang on. State dot string. I'm hoping that that just tells me if it's open or not. So let's just start the program and see what happens. Let's see if we can actually connect to it first. So, I mean, normally I test all this stuff before I make a video, but I just think, why not jump in the deep end? So let's just press the button, and look at that, it's open. That's good. So that means that the connection string is indeed correct, and we are connected to our database. Fantastic. So we want to first of all see if we can log into our database. So once we get the connection string, we want to create a command. So SQL command cmd equals new SQL command, and we want to say select select any. Oh, we'll select count. So count will actually tell us how many times a username and password that match. So I mean, select count anything. So it's going to count anything from what's the table base called again? Users table, is it? Where so we're going to select count anything from users table where username equals @user. So you don't have to do @user. You could write @Mickey Mouse or whatever, as long as it has an @ and is a parameter. You cook them with gas. And password equals @pass. Once done that, we need to add the connection string to the property like that. And then we need to add in our parameters. So parameters. I'm probably guessing the majority of you guys have, you know what you're sort of doing here. But I'm just going to show you, of course, as we're making the program, just to make sure that everything is a-okay. We want to use parameters to avoid SQL injection within our program. That's one thing that you can do to sort of help stop it. So an SQL injection would be pretty much if I was just to add a text box here, someone that wants to harm my database could potentially write and delete anything from such and such, and then everything from the database would be gone, which we don't really want. So yeah, we're going to count anything from the user table where username equals Andrew and password equals pass, I think I called it. So yeah, we're going to do that. This is going to, we're going to use this Scalia reader or counter or something like that, and so it's going to be an integer. So we need to say integer or int result equals, and we're going to convert it to an integer or cast it more. And we're going to execute the Scalia. So this is going to basically mean if it gets nothing, if it's 0, then the logins fail. But if it's more than 0, well, that means that it found somewhere in the database where username equaled Andrew and password equals password or something. So you'd have to also make it in your database where you could only add one username with that particular username, so unique usernames. You'd have to do that. Otherwise, it would return 2, which then it wouldn't know which one to log into, because it's like, well, hey, shit, I've got 2 login details here. Which one do you want me to pick? It wouldn't know. So, okay, we've done that. We've executed it, and then we'll just say if result is higher than 0, then messagebox.show welcome. We can spell welcome. And we can do that and put in here username. So that's kind of cool. So I think I might have done that wrong because I'm doing it on message box. I'm going to go string.format. See, console for life. So welcome. Oh my god. Welcome, Andrew, it's going to say, I hope. So in this case, it's actually going to say login failed. Because I haven't added Andrew to my database yet. So just to show you, login error. Okay, I've got a login error. So if I start the program and I type in Andrew and pass. If I log in, we should probably get a login error, or because I didn't open the connection. Look at that, the connection is closed. You need to open it. We can't do anything if it's closed. So I'll just open it from the get-go. Now the great thing about doing a using, so what remember that is I've created a using, is it will automatically close, and I think even the garbage collector will be called after this, which will free up resources, and it will also close the connections. So I don't even have to worry about closing the connection after my code's done. Even better. So if I just type in anything, that means anything. Look at that, login error. Couldn't say anything there. And then of course with that login error, we could even clear some text boxes. So can't do any more codes running. So text box 1 dot clear and text box 2 dot clear. I was gonna write text equals nothing, but I guess we'll just do clear. So I need to now add in a username for my code. So let's go back to our data set. No, let's go back to our server, right click on it, and I think we just create a new query. And I'm going to actually just do a query to insert data into this. You could, get the designer up and do it manually if you wanted to. Oh, sorry, not manually, but click on it and add it that way. But I'll do it with a query just to sort of give you guys an example of what it looks like. So using a query, it's like the closest language, programming language to English that I think I can think of. Insert into users table. Now we're going to pick where we want to insert into. So we're going to get the username, password, and locked. And the values of that are going to equal Andrew. My password can equal pass. And is the account locked? It certainly is not, so I'm going to put 0. 1 would be true. So if I execute that query, we can see down the bottom there that one row has been affected. So that's our username and that's our password. We could indeed say now, well, you know what, let's select everything from users table. So if I execute that, we can now see down the bottom here we've got the username, the password, and the account is locked. In SQL database with the Studio Manager, it'll actually say false there, which is pretty cool. So if I run my program now, I press on start, and if I just type in now Andrew and pass, I should get a welcome Andrew. So we've connected successfully and we were able to determine that we have a username in there that is Andrew. Fantastic. But now what happens if I get the password wrong 3 times? I'm going to copy some code now. This code here, I'm going to just copy it because we know that this works. And I'm going to create a static, private void. Static. So once again, too much console. I'm just going to call it login. And I want to pass in 2 parameters. One being the username, and the other one being password. Put that in there. And we should be good. This should all match up because I've added the parameters here, which would now mean that, once we've done that, we could just do a simple check here to make sure that it's not empty. So if username, because we know we can't have null in our database. If username is not, string dot is null or empty, and also not string dot is empty or null. Passwords, so they need to both have something. So if they're not empty, then sure, let's go to the login and we're going to pass through the username and the password. And we could always just do an else. We'll just do a return. You could add a message there saying, hey, you forgot, you need to have something in there, but yeah, save some precious seconds on the video. So login, username, password. Let's just make sure that this works. Beautiful. Welcome, Andrew. Fantastic. So we're able to get in there. But now what happens if we do it too many times and we don't log in? That would kind of suck. So to do this, what I'm going to do, if I put the integer here, if I put int count equals 0 there, then every time the login is, if it goes to login, then the count 0 is always going to go to 0. We don't want that. So just for this one, we're going to do it with 1. Something on my nose. We're going to do it with 1 username for this matter, I think. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this because I've just sort of decided to make a video and I haven't really thought about what I was doing. I was just thinking, well, hey, I could do that. Okay. I'm going to do the counter up here, because if they get it correct, then, I mean, this would kind of be like the ultimate way of doing it. So let's write int counter equals 0. Okay, we'll do it there. And so what's going to happen here is once we log in, the counter is going to go to ++ because we're trying to log in. So when we've got in here using the connection, we're going to try and do that. We will pretty much put it in here. Or actually no, what we could do is I'll go here to private boolean is locked. Oh god, I can't spell. And once again, we're going to put in the username and the password, because what happens if the password is the same as somebody else's or something? I don't know. We can always just do username, I guess. See if we're not going to have multiple usernames. So we're going to do a using SQL connection, SQL con equals new SQL connection. Put my connection string, and we need to do a command now. So SQL command command cmd equals new SQL command. We can do them here. So select username from users table, where username equals at user. Actually, we want to select locked. Yeah, I can spell. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We want to select locked from username, where username equals at username. Okay, that's pretty much it. And then we'll just go SQL con, because we need to add our connection on the end of it. SQL con. And now we're going to add a parameter dot with value at user, and username will come from our parameter from the top there, up the top here, right there. And so, I mean, we can basically do exactly what we did before. We'll just do int result, equals cmd dot execute. Now, if I didn't cast that into an integer, it's going to throw up an error. It's even telling me, are you missing a cast? Sometimes it doesn't necessarily work, but other times it will work. So if the result is higher than 0, we want to return true, because we're doing a boolean. We need to return a boolean. So return true. And if that doesn't work, something else, then we want to return false. So now, once we've come back, done that, that's going to return a true or false statement. So if we get the password correct, so it's the thing, username and password correct, we need to now check if the account is locked. So let me just save this piece of code so I have to retype it. So then if not locked, and yeah, I'll take away the is locked. If not locked, we put in the username. So if it's not locked, doesn't like what I've written there. Oh god, it's a capital L. If not locked, username, then we can do the welcome Andrew. Probably the worst idea putting the counter there. Else, the counter increments by 1, and we're doing that. So if it's not locked, then that happens. So if not locked, and also counter, and also counter is not equal 3, then let's show that. Else, it does that. So what would I probably be better off doing here? Because it seems a bit jumbled. If result is higher than 0, and if not locked, then let's do that. But the only way the counter can go up is if it skips this part here, because we're going to lock it in the else statement if something happens. What am I missing? Okay. So the counter will be +1. Yeah. If result is higher than 1, then let's do that. I think I have my else statement in the wrong loop. I do. That's better. I was wondering what was happening there. I was like, oh, that doesn't look right. So else the counter is incremented by 1 and it's going to show a login error. And then I guess we could do one last final if statement. Down here, if counter is equal to 3. Yep, if it's equal to 3. Actually no, it would be 2. If it's equal to 2, then we're just going to lock the account. So I'm going to create another void, private void, lock account, and at this point we just want to put username. And once again, using SQL connection. A lot of the time is just using SQL connection. Put in the connection string. SQL command. I think I need to do an insert or set change or something like that. I can't even remember. Not equals 1 where name equals at username, at user. So that should be the right command, I'm hoping. I can go back out of that and we'll just paste. Oh my god, update users table. Set locked equals 1 where username equals at user. So we can do that, and then cmd parameters dot add with value. And we'll execute it. That's pretty much going to be it. So then it's going to be locked. So if that equals that, then it's going to go, you know what, we're going to lock the account and the string will be the username. Let's have a quick look and see what happens. So type in pass, it should connect. Need to open the, so we're going to open the connections. I forgot to do that. So now if we start it, I'm really hoping that this will pretty much do it. So I was checking to see if the account's locked and the cast was invalid. I might have to actually convert this over to a proper integer, to integer 32 please. See what happens there. So we're going to type in some names and oh, login error. Hasn't worked. Let's get a password. Welcome Andrew. Look at that, because the account was not locked. However, we want to actually say, well, if the account is more than 2, then we're going to lock the account, and then once this has done the query, if it's been successful, we want to get a message box to show and just write here, your account has been locked, and then we'll just have here the title, contact administration, contact administration. So let's just put in a long password, so it's nothing, so therefore nothing's going to happen. So login error, your account's been locked, straight away it's been locked. So now if I type in my real password, welcome Andrew, but your account's been locked. Okay, that's quite funny. So that needs to equal 3. But if we do manage to log in, then we need to restart the counter to 0. If not locked, then welcome Andrew. Counter equals 0. If the result is that and it's not locked, then do that. Else we get a login error. Let's see what happens. Login error. Login error. Login error. Your account has been locked. So if I'm excuse me, to actually put in the right details, kind of hoping that it's going to say your account's been locked. So there you go. Look at that. It won't let me do anything. Even with the right details, my account has been locked. So let's just go Andrew and password. Well, because the account's been locked, it's not showing anything. So it actually must update on there. If not locked, else we could store a message box here. Just write your account's been locked. Please contact administration. Because the account's been locked, it's not doing anything. So, as a matter of fact, now if I'm to put in my details, and it's the correct password, your account's been locked because it's been locked. If I get it incorrect, then there's a login error. So now what you would do, being the IT admin that you probably are, if we go back to our server, and I'm going to go to new query. So select anything from users table. I'm really hoping that this, look at that, it's been locked. See, it's locked. But if I want to change that value, we just need to do update user table set locked equals 0, where username equals Andrew. And then we could just do a select so we can see what's happening. So we execute that. We can now see that the account has now been unlocked, so to speak. So now if we run our program, and if I put in my password, welcome Andrew, that's it. And then you can go to your forum. So what I mean by that is once you are in, I've got so many tabs open, it's causing me seizures. Once we are in, welcome Andrew, you could probably put right here, finally, we could do go to forum 2, I guess. So you do it right there. So there you go, guys. There's a, I don't know how long this video went for, if it's a quick video, if it's a long video, I don't know. Perhaps I will edit it, who knows. It took us a little bit to get there, but like I said, I just decided to make this video out of the blue like that. Do comment, rate, subscribe if you did like the video, and yeah, if you have any questions, do leave them below. I do honestly try and comment as many times as I can. Sometimes it's a bit overwhelming though for me to get to every single one of them, but look, Stack Overflow is your best friend, as well as Google, so do Google things and ask a question on Stack, and yeah, see how you go. Alright guys.